Notion recently introduced a new status property, which on the surface might seem really basic, but it's actually a kind of advanced property, and you can display it in a number of different ways that might not be so obvious at first glance. So I want to show you what is really neat about the status property and how to implement this in your own workspace. So I have here a demo space with a actions database here, and I've just got some sample data in there just to show you what you can do with this status property. So I'm going to open up a random task here, send wireframes for approval, and you can see I've got this new status property here. When I click on this, I can set this to any of these properties. I like to use the now, next, later. It's really great for tasks that don't have a specific due date, but you do know that you need to address them next, and they have a little bit more flexibility that way. And then you've got in progress and done. So that's one simple way to do your statuses. You can add as many properties as you want under these different groups. So what I'll do is I'm going to add a new demo status just to show you what this looks like. Because when you do add, I'm just going to call it status demo because I already have a status property here. And when you select the new status property, Notion will automatically create these three groups for you: to do, in progress, and complete. And you've got these options here: not started, in progress, and done. So Notion will create that automatically. And then you'll see that not started is the default for the new status property. So you can choose whether you want to change that up and make a different status be your default status, but this is what Notion sets up by default. So just for example's sake, I'm going to add a couple more properties just to show you what that process looks like. So I'm going to add an archive. I'm going to give that a gray color. And then for not started, I might say to do later. Don't want to do that right now, but that might be something that I want to put on my list and I can schedule it for later. Maybe this is pretty urgent and needs to happen now. I'm just clicking on that to change the color. And then next. I like to do a now, next, later. Great. And I might even set next to be my default. Great. And then I'm going to delete this not started, just to show you what it looks like to delete Notion's default properties there. And so now I've got now, next, later, in progress, and done. And you can see these are each grouped under these three different headings. You can't actually change the name of these, so you're always going to have the to do, in progress, and complete categories. Nothing you can do there, but you can rename and adjust any of these properties that are within these groups. Great. And you'll notice here you've got show as, select, or checkbox. At first I was a little bit confused by this because I put checkbox and now I just see a checkbox here. So I wasn't really sure why should I use this over the actual done checkbox. It wasn't necessarily clear to me, but this is what I recommend doing. Leave it on select whenever you are inside the page view, right? So this is fine, but here is where things start to get interesting. So I'm just going to close this up, and you can see here I've got this status here with now, next, later, in progress, etc. What's fun about the status property is I can now change the view preferences here. So I can change this view, and I'm going to say edit property. It's going to open up a little window here, and this is where I can say show as checkbox. And so if I shrink this a little bit, now I have the benefit of a checkbox property here, but if I open this up, you'll see that this status is actually set to now, but it's showing as a checkbox here. So this is the same property. In fact, I will delete this sample one that I made just so we're on the same page. Great. So you can see here, it's showing as a checkbox in this view, but it's showing as a select property here. So this is what's really fun about the status property is you can selectively choose how you want to view those properties. So this is a really simple table view, but let me show you what it looks like to do this in a board view. So I'm going to make a new board. I'm going to say now, next, later, and I'm actually grouping by status here, and you'll actually see that now it's sorted into this to do, in progress, and complete. So if I click on this, it shows you that you've got some options here, and by default I think Notion selects status by group, but you can choose status by option instead, which then gives me the ability to do that now, next, later, and then maybe I don't need to see later tasks. I only want to see what's kind of right in front of my face. So now, next, in progress, done. So that's one way of doing your task management for the day. I can say, great, this one's in progress. Once it's done, I can move it over to done. So I can move tasks around. I can say I want to do that next. That's in progress. That's done. And I open that up and it's going to show done here. But then what's really interesting too is that I can show that status property again. So I'm going to say show status. And you'll notice here it's showing as a checkbox. So if I open this up, I can say show as checkbox or select. Right? And because I already have them showing at the top, I don't need to see them on every single one of these. So I'm going to say checkbox. And that way, if I do complete one of these tasks here, let's say I just click complete, it actually moved over here. So for example, if I uncheck this admin task here, it actually moves back to now. Team sync moves back to now. So you've got some flexibility here. And if I move this into in progress, you'll actually see that that checkbox goes to a partially checked status. And here in the page view, it's always viewed as a select, but here I can view it as a checkbox if I want to. I can also hide that and decide I don't want to show the statuses there and keep that nice and clean. And then again, I can change my mind and I can say, let's group that by group instead of option to do in progress done. And so what that does is it collapses all of the next, now, next, later. All of these are going to get collapsed into this column here. So again, you have some flexibility for how you want to view those. You could also group by, like add a group onto a table view, for example. So let's say I want to group by status option or status group. So I can see all the to-dos here. But I like the option depending on your use case, and I like to hide later. So I don't need to see all the stuff I need to do later. I want to see the stuff that's most important right now, and I can hide all those done as well if I want to, or I can show those, and I can also filter out status is not done. So there should be nothing done here, but I can, if I want to, drag that here, and those are going to disappear because those have been filtered out. So it's a little complex at first to kind of wrap your head around, but really the beauty is that you can choose how you want to view it on a per view basis. So let's say I make a really basic list here. I'm going to turn on that status property here, but I want that status property to show as a checkbox, right? So now I can say that's done, and those will all disappear. So lots of different ways you can view and play with that status property, but I think it really cleans things up and it just shows you a really interesting way of viewing your tasks. I can collapse everything that's not happening right now, or I can move in progress to the top. So let's say I want to adjust this. I can say sort manual instead of by ascending, and I can say maybe I only want to see the stuff that's in progress at the very top, then I want to see what's now and then next and then done. So I can open this up, see there's 2 tasks in progress. So that's one way to kind of reduce the overwhelm as well, to say, just show me the things that are in progress. And ideally, we're minimizing the stuff that we are doing in progress. So we're only working on a couple things at a time, 1 or 2 tasks at a time. And at the end of the day, I will drag tasks from the later list, next and later, and I will move them into now at the end of the day. So that way, when I come tomorrow and I look at my list, I'm only seeing the list of the now items. So that's the status property. I encourage you to give it a shot, play with it, and just see how you can get the best of both worlds of the done checkbox and a single select status property. You can start to get even more complex when you're talking about things like content calendars and post-production statuses and things like that. So there's a lot you can do here. In fact, let me jump in and show you a very quick demo of how we are using this in our content calendar. So here I am on one of the content calendar pages. I'm just going to open up a random post here that I've got in the calendar and show you that we've got a couple different statuses happening here. If I click on status and edit the property, you will see idea is the default status. So anything that gets added to the content database is automatically going to be set to idea unless it is moved through the pipeline otherwise. You can see we got draft, editing, review, ready to publish, scheduled, published, and archived. And then in post publish, again, I love the default, like the ability to set a default on your statuses. So by default, everything is set to needs action, and that encourages us to make sure that we take action after something is published so that there is a next step, and we might want to promote it, remix it, repurpose it, refresh it, etc. And then we've got in progress and then complete. So you can get really creative with the status properties. You can use multiple status properties depending on your needs, but just wanted to show you another example of how you could do that with a slightly more advanced format. And the final note about the status property that I will encourage you to consider is if you already have a done checkbox in your actions database, for example, if you used to use the checkbox property, I would consider editing the property and changing it from the checkbox to the status property, because that's going to make sure that any of your tasks that are already marked as complete are automatically going to be transferred into that new done status property. So it's actually quite easy to change any existing done tasks to sort of migrate into the new status property. The other one thing to note is that unlike a single select where you could add new properties here, you can't do that with the select. So you do actually have to go to click on the name of the property, click edit property, and do your additions here. So don't go trying to type something new here. You won't be able to add it. So those are the main things to be aware of with this new status property. I hope that's helpful, and I hope it gives you some ideas for how you might want to use it in your own space. For a day-to-day view, this is mostly how I like to look at it. What's upcoming right now? What am I working on in this moment? Try to reduce the number of things I'm working on or in progress at any one given time, and then drag those things to done, and they disappear because of that filter. So I hope that's helpful. I hope that you have some fun playing with this new status property. And if you already are using a done checkbox, consider switching that checkbox to the new status property, and it will retain the settings for any complete tasks, and those will be just marked as done. Otherwise, Notion has been rolling out tons of interesting little features too, so I will definitely be featuring some of those in future videos. In the meantime, have fun exploring the status property and see if you have a preferred view. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.